Alright, here we are at the end of the road, the conclusion of the third season of The Mandalorian. To the remaining viewers of this show, did it go down almost exactly as you thought it would? The only incorrect detail in my prediction is that Din Djarin actually manages to survive the ordeal in a plot that is visibly rushed and clumsily written. I honestly feel terrible for Giancarlo Esposito, given how his presence dominated the prior episode with his return as Moff Gideon, only to have questionable scenes and actions prior to his below satisfactory execution of his demise in the finale. Firstly, given all the events that have transpired since their first encounter in Navarro, Moff Gideon, with his supposed skills, intellect, and experience, should have had the foresight to already kill Din immediately upon his capture. I find it hard to believe that he permitted him to live, let alone entrust his captivity to two ordinary troopers, just as a means for him to escape and assist in the battle against the Empire. Which leads me to my second point, where Moff Gideon, despite knowing that Din has escaped, insisted that his men do not engage him at all, and leaving the confrontation entirely to him. Circling back to what I mentioned previously, with Din's capabilities ever since the start of the show, and given the stakes of the situation, it was most unwise for Moff Gideon to take him on so recklessly and feels incredibly out of character to once again force the plot forward. Moreover, I was baffled that he got very upset when Din destroyed the clones of himself. I mean, he did allow him to run about in the vicinity unmitigated, so what did he expect to happen? The subpar and uninspired writing feels so draining to an otherwise compelling villain, and I personally believe that Giancarlo Esposito deserved better. Yes, consider me a big fan of his craft, ever since his excellent performance as Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad. So believe me when I say, I was upset on the rush job the writers did for Moff Gideon's sudden end. Which brings me to Axe Woves, the character with apparently the thickest plot armor I have probably seen in this show to date. Do correct me if I am wrong, dear viewers, but I find it hard to believe that an individual, no matter their skill level, manages to control a ship that was meant to be piloted by a large crew, let alone somehow successfully fend off swarms of TIE fighters that I feel could have easily demolished the ship due to its stationary position and lack of manpower. And to add salt to the wounds, I find the positioning to be terribly convenient for Axe to single-handedly pilot the crashing ship right towards the weak point of the Imperial base where they initially had no idea even existed. Oh, and let's not forget that he did not give Bo-Katan and those fighting on the ground sufficient time to evacuate. I mean, she and Din literally would have died if it were not for Grogu, because of course, Disney's money-making mascot has to take the spotlight at some point in this finale that also conveniently takes out Moff Gideon with finality. Or at least I think it is. How can we possibly know at this point, given Disney's track record of bringing back characters unnecessarily? As for the ending, nothing special, to nobody's surprise. Bo-Katan gets her happy ending, and I don't want to sound like a broken record anymore, while Din officially takes Grogu as his child and continues with their adventures. In conclusion, the third season of The Mandalorian I find to be below average, and this is me being very, very generous. The unnecessary details and wasted episodes could have been spent to polish and refine the storytelling of the season in its entirety. If I were to pick my favorite episodes of this season, it will most probably be Episode 5 with the attack on Navarro, and Episode 7 with the return of Moff Gideon. But even then, both those episodes have their faults, which you may watch in my review for each of them if you have not already. Furthermore, these two episodes alone are insufficient in carrying the terribly written and paced season, and honestly, I do not hold a slither of enthusiasm for the next season. I would imagine that Disney played this safe so that they have the opportunity to pivot to cater to what remains of the fanbase of this once beloved franchise. It would not surprise me should they decide to make a spin-off for Bo-Katan, as she is a character with a somewhat good reception with the viewers as far as I can see. What do you guys think of the final episode and Season 3 of The Mandalorian? Sound off in the comments. As always, thank you for your support, and subscribe if you have not already, as it truly supports the channel. Have a great day.